Greetings from South Korea. I am Arirang News AI anchor. Here is the news-making headlines today. President Lee Jae-myung has vowed to make strategic investment next year using additional tax revenues generated from the chip sector. Presiding over a finance strategy meeting on Monday, he said the government will create what's called a Future Response Fund to make investment in promising tech sectors, young people, rural areas and education. Next year, South Korea is expected to collect at least 500 trillion won, or about $332 billion in taxes and draw up a record high budget of around 800 trillion won. The government and ruling Democratic Party have pledged to make the second half of this year the starting point for a major economic leap. At a policy meeting on Monday, the two sides discussed a growth strategy centered on the three mega-projects and key legislative reforms including accelerating investment in chips and data centers. The DP4 leader said the party aims to deliver tangible improvements to people's livelihoods by promoting regional-led growth and pursuing structural reforms. The government also outlined plans to strengthen its response to economic risks by creating an integrated system to manage housing market stability and foreign exchange markets, while tackling long-term challenges such as widening inequality. Korea saw a new record for exports in the early part of July, driven by a booming global semiconductor market and a recovery in exports to China and the United States. According to provisional data released by the Korea Customs Service on Monday, export value for July 1st to 10th surged 53.9% year-on-year to $29.8 billion. Import value rose 17.4% to $23.5 billion, resulting in a trade surplus of $6.4 billion. The latest figure breaks the previous record, which was set just a month earlier. Exports of semiconductors jumped 193%, accounting for 37.6% of total exports. Korea's benchmark KOSPI plunged nearly 9% on Monday, falling below the 7,000 mark for the first time in about 2 months. The sharp afternoon sell-off eventually triggered a level 1 circuit breaker, halting all trading for 20 minutes in the seventh such activation this year. A steep decline in global technology stocks added to the pressure, sending market heavyweights Samsung Electronics and SK Hynix down more than 10% and 15%, respectively. The sell-off was driven largely by heavy foreign and institutional selling, as investors took profits and global oil prices surged. What had been a fragile ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran has effectively collapsed after the two sides exchanged a fresh round of strikes over the weekend, renewing fears of a return to full-scale war. U.S. warplanes struck Iran for a second consecutive night into Monday, reaching beyond the strait and deep into the country's western and central regions. Tehran retaliated within hours, targeting U.S.-allied countries across the region. Iran's Revolutionary Guard claimed it had struck U.S. military facilities in Jordan, Bahrain, Oman, Qatar and Kuwait, and warned that Gulf energy infrastructure could be targeted next if Washington did not back down. That is all from me today. Thank you for watching.